All right, let's do it. Welcome aboard. Flames Nation Live is underway on this Wednesday, November 2nd. A happy Wednesday evening to you. Thanks for being aboard. We got Mike, Sasha, Stephanie all on board with us early on, and lots more still to come. Jump on board. It's Steinberg along with you. Pat Steinberg from Flames Talk on Sportsnet 960 The Fan and wherever you get your podcasts. And we've got lots to talk about. The Flames have lost 2 games in a row for the first time this season. And just 2 games to go on this 6-game homestand so far. So far, 4-2 on this, 3-3 on this homestand. Losses to Buffalo, Edmonton, and now Seattle. And then they got the 2 more games still to go, plus the 3 wins so far on this podcast. Get your questions and comments and everything you need to on the live chat. Who else do we have in? Dustin's with us. Sheila and Lucas all with us as well on a Wednesday night here on Flames Nation Live, which is, as always, brought to you by our friends at DoorDash, where we encourage you to download the app, create the account, and then once you do both those, and once you hit both those steps, go and use the promo code FNLiveDD. When you do that on your first order over at DoorDash, you're going to get 25% off and you're going to get free delivery. So one more time, go download the app and create the account, then use that promo code. Once again, it's FNLiveDD. So we've got lots to get to on Flames Nation Live today, and let's get right to it because there's a few things going on right now when it comes to the way the Flames have played of late. First of all, as we know, they've lost the 2 in a row. They lost the 3-2 game to Edmonton on Saturday, then a 5-4 game to Seattle on Tuesday. And both games, they had leads in the third period. They led after 40 on Saturday, but the Oilers came back on them. And then they had a 4-2 lead early in the third on Tuesday against Seattle, but again, let it slip. And there come the Kraken right back on him. And there's been a lot of criticism on one player in particular so far, and that's Jonathan Huberdeau, the $84 million man of the Calgary Flames. And he's got 5 points in his first 8 games. It hasn't quite clicked. And Daryl Sutter said after Tuesday's loss to Seattle that Jonathan needs to up the speed of his game, needs to speed up his game. It's what head coach Daryl Sutter said. And that's something that we talked to Jonathan about on Wednesday at practice. And I give Jonathan a ton of credit as he was very forthright about the way that he's played so far. And what I liked about what Jonathan said, we talked a lot about this on Wednesday's Flames Talk. Yes, he came right out and said that he needs to be better, hasn't gotten to the level that he wants to be at as of yet, and he understands that the expectations are high, and he understands that, by his standards, he's struggled so far. But he also was very confident, and I love that quote. "You guys haven't seen anything yet" was one of the last things that he said. He knows that he has not been at optimum, and he knows that it hasn't been the type of start that he would have wanted to his Flames career. But he also knows that it's going to get there. He also remains confident in his abilities. And I guess my main point would be that we're talking about an $84 million commitment. We're talking about Jonathan committing the next almost decade of his career to the Calgary Flames. And we're talking about the Flames committing $84 million over 8 years to him starting next season. There is a big-time commitment here on both sides. And this guy is the central figure for the Calgary Flames going forward. And so knowing that, it's just kind of my feel is give it time and give it as long as it's going to need to take. Like, this is going to take as long as it takes for Jonathan to be comfortable. And no, Huberdeau is not fully comfortable yet as a member of the Calgary Flames. There is zero doubt about that. However, I just think it's important to give this time and be patient. And if it takes 3 weeks, 3 months, or a full season of Jonathan being in Calgary for him to fully hit stride and for him to fully be comfortable, that's okay. He's played 8 games of 9 years. It's 1.1%. He's played 8 games of like 730 something that he's played so far in his Calgary Flames career. And it has not clicked right away. And I know that everybody was hoping, and I get it, like the expectations were high and the excitement level was high, but just because it hasn't clicked yet doesn't mean it's not going to click. And I'm quite confident it is going to click. I don't know how long it's going to take, and that's the unknown, but I don't think that it's. I don't think that we can or we should be having the conversations yet about whether or not this was a bad investment. I don't think we should be having conversations about whether or not this is the right fit. I just think the only question or conversation that I think is super valid right now is when is it going to click for the first time? And I think that's fair. I do. I really do. Some of the stuff out there being super critical, I think it's a little premature on Jonathan, and I honestly do believe he is going to figure it out here. I just don't know exactly how long it's going to take for him to get there and be exactly where he wants to be. By the way, that's what things look like at practice on Wednesday morning. Same forward lines, no Chris Tanev, so the D pairings were juggled up a little bit. We'll keep our eye on that for sure going into Thursday's game against Nashville, but those were the forward lines coming out of the game. And look, I still believe that the forward lines that they had for the first 7 games of the year, I still believe there's a lot of potential there. I still believe that there's a lot of reason to be patient with those lines, and that included Lindholm between Huberdeau and Toffoli. Obviously, Huberdeau on a line with Kadri and Mangiapane at practice, and Lindholm with Toffoli and Lucic. And I didn't mind the Lindholm line. I think Lindholm as an individual is really starting to find his game this year. But if it were me, I preferred personally those lines that we saw prior to the game against Seattle, but they want to see if this will get some of the wingers going, and Darryl Sutter wants to see if this can give them a little bit of a spark, so we'll see. I don't know if it gave exactly the desired effect they were looking for against Seattle, but it was only one game, and we'll see how that plays itself out. Let's dive in on the live chat right now. Lots of people with us here on this Wednesday night. Dustin up first. What happened last night? That was by far their worst performance of the season. There were flashes of brilliance, but wow. Yeah, I just think that they, honestly, Dustin, I think they made some really uncharacteristic mistakes. Some uncharacteristic players made some uncharacteristic mistakes. And next thing you know, it's a 4-2 lead turns into a 5-4 loss. You know, for a team that has been really mature this year in terms of the way they've managed games, especially in the third period, they just weren't very mature on Tuesday night, and it cost them. I'm not worried about that being something that creeps into their game, though. I do think this and I thought Nikita Zadorov framed it perfectly when he said after Tuesday's game that we're not a young team. We're better than that. We know how to manage games. We just didn't, was to paraphrase what Nikita Zadorov said post-game. Brooks says, Flames will figure it out. A few bad mistakes per game is their only problem right now. Michael says, Dubé, Lindholm, and Toffoli should be the second line, in my opinion, and maybe that's something that we see down the road. What else we got here? Dustin says it's not just one player. It's not just Huberdeau. It's the whole team. And I agree. It's just that because of the hype and excitement around Jonathan Huberdeau, there's a lot of scrutiny and a lot of eyeballs on that player. Charlene says it's early in the season, no reason to panic. I mean, they're 5-3 at this point, and I know they've lost 2 in a row, but by no means is there room or reason to panic. Mike brings up an interesting point. Says, don't know if it's just me, but does it seem like Luch has found a different gear this season? And I've quite liked Milan Lucic this year. I think he's been really, really strong to start the year, and I think he's well suited in kind of a fourth line role. I think that is a good spot for him, and I think that's probably the best place for him over the course of a season. However, and I know he gave up the puck. I know that he was the one who committed the giveaway, which is very uncharacteristic of Milan. Over the course of a season, you don't see that guy give up the puck very often. He is very responsible. Maybe not always electric, but he's very responsible with the puck on his stick. He does not give it up very often. But he did against Seattle. It led to the Beniers goal that ended up winning the game. But I thought actually Lucic had a pretty good game with Lindholm and Toffoli. I like that line. I just don't know if Lucic long-term is a top 6 fit on this team. I believe at this stage of his career, he's more effective when he's playing fewer minutes. He's more effective a little further down the lineup, and I don't know if being a 15, 16-minute-a-night forward is what's best for the team in Milan as a fit right now. That being, he could prove us wrong, and that'd be awesome, and he had a really good game against the Kraken, and maybe that's a start to that, but that's just kind of where how I'm feeling about that right now, although I do think that Milan's had a really nice start to the season. Eric says, what are your thoughts on Uyghur so far? I think he needs to calm his game down a bit, especially in the D zone. I'm hoping he's just trying to adjust to playing for a new coach. And honestly, I think that is a huge thing. That's what's going on with both Uyghur and Huberdeau. I think for Nazem Kadri, who's been such a great fit, it's just he's been through a major trade before. He has gone through the transition before. He's also coming from a team in Colorado that didn't play a drastically different brand of hockey than the Flames are, whereas I think it's fair to say, and Jonathan and Mackenzie have both said this, that going from Florida to Calgary was a little bit more of an adjustment, and I think that plays into it too, and I think that's a part of the reason why maybe it's taking a little bit longer for Uyghur and Huberdeau to look fully comfortable, and that's okay. I think that process is just going to continue here. Uyghur's had some moments. I love the battle level. I love how much he never gives up on a play. I love how engaged he is, but I think away from the puck and some of his step-up decisions are still being felt out. And the last thing I'll say, I love his first pass out of his own zone. The way that he gets that puck off his stick, transitions it to the forwards from his own zone, whether he's skating it out or even if it's more of a stationary situation. I've really appreciated that about Mackenzie Uyghur's game so far. What else we got here on it's going to be a shorter edition of Flames Nation Live. But Lucas asks, when would you expect Lucas Siona to debut? A little ways down the road, like next season at earliest. Maybe at the end of this year, he'll get into some American League games, but he's in the Western League right now, and I would say next year would be the earliest that you would see a guy like that. Jordan says Lucic has jumped gears significantly this season as compared to last season, and Zach says no need to panic. Flames are going to settle in. We were not expecting a 5-3-0 start. Let's be real. Look, last thing I'll say on this edition of Flames Nation Live, or last point I'll drive home, there's been far more positive than negative so far to start this season. Like it's been a really good start, all things considered. It has been perfect, of course not. They're 5-3. They've lost 3, and there's been stretches in games where things haven't been outstanding. But for the most part, when you're talking about the amount of high-end turnover that this team has gone through, and when you're talking about so many new faces trying to gel together early on, I actually think for where they are and not having incredible goaltending in the first couple of games, I think they're actually in pretty good shape at 5-3-0, and I think that there's a lot of progression individually and team-wise still to come when it comes to this Flames team. So I'm not ready to panic. I think 5-3 is a solid start, and I think there's lots more still to come as we continue. Just wanted to make it a quick little Wednesday night edition of Flames Nation Live, brought to you by DoorDash. Download the app, create the account, and use the promo code FNLiveDD. That gets you 25% off your first order and free delivery. Thank you so much for your eyeballs and your ears, and more importantly, if you chimed in, not more importantly, but also if you chimed in on the live chat, thank you very much for doing that as well. We'll do another one of these over the weekend. Probably Sunday will be our next edition of Flames Nation Live. My name is Pat Steinberg from Sportsnet 960. Flames Talk's available live from 4 to 6 p.m. and wherever you get your podcasts. Stay kind, be safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your Wednesday night and enjoy the Flames and the Preds on Thursday. Thank you very much. It's been another edition of Flames Nation Live, brought to you by DoorDash.